Hey, good morning, everybody. Hey, I wanted to just jump on and talk about a few things. We saw Antifa in Portland getting unruly again yesterday, attacking people. They attacked and smashed the windows of a Proud Boy bus who were, there to demonstrate peacefully, and who are guys who are brave enough. People want to classify them as white supremacists, and let me tell you, I'm not saying I agree with everything that the Proud Boys stand for, but I've studied some of their philosophies and agree with them generally speaking, and I've actually met quite a few of these guys at their DC free speech rally, and I love how leftists try to characterize them as white supremacists, and being white has nothing to do with being a Proud Boy, because they have plenty of Asian Americans, Black Americans. I saw people of every color. I actually, and going to their free speech demonstration, I saw people of every sexual orientation, you name it. It was a potpourri of folks that were there at the DC Proud Boys event. So characterizing them as white supremacists is patently false. Race has nothing to do with what their organization is about. Standing up for free speech is one thing that they are brave enough to do. I've seen some people criticizing them, saying, oh, well, if you know Antifa's going to be there, why do you show up? Well, the Proud Boys put on this free speech demonstration at Freedom Plaza in D.C., and Antifa had set up a counter demonstration next door. And now the DC police, who are professionals when it comes to reasonable demonstration control, unlike the Portland police, who are just absent and let bus windows get smashed and vehicles get attacked and people in all sorts of dangerous situations, because apparently they refuse to do their job. And I think that's not necessarily on the Portland police themselves, but that Antifa-loving mayor whose name escapes me at this moment. So anybody that says the Proud Boys are white supremacists is full of shit, and they're either ignorant or they're lying, one of the two. I wouldn't want to be either, ignorant or a liar, but that's what they are. So anyway, I see people criticizing them, saying, well, if you know Antifa's going to be there, why do you go there? Well, because some of us have to have the balls to stand up for free speech, and just because Antifa's going to be there doesn't mean that we shut down our demonstrations, okay? I was up in D.C. and saw these sore-ass financed thugs, and that's what they are. They are leftist stooges who are being played by the Soros and the Luciferians of the world, okay? And I saw them firsthand and actually stopped them from assaulting two different people up at the Deplorable. They had Antifa and George Soros had dispatched thugs who burnt vehicles, smashed windows. I was there, so I see their behavior firsthand. I met, when I was at the DC Free Speech Proud Boys event, the head of Philadelphia Antifa, whose thugs hit my friend Pizzagate Howie over the head with a glass bottle and hospitalized him. 5 thugs against one guy, because they ID'd him as a Trump supporter. He had, I guess, gone to either a free speech or a Trump demonstration that day in Philly. So they smashed the bottle over his head. So the head of Philadelphia Antifa came over to the Proud Boys demonstration, and he's completely masked. His face is completely covered. You can't see 1 square inch of skin on this guy. And I asked him why he feels compelled to wear a mask, and that reasonable people are going to think that, hey, you insist on staying covered up when you go out on the streets like that, and reasonable people are going to assume that it's because you're either ashamed of what you're doing, or you're going to you intend to commit some crime and you don't want to be identified. And then this guy ends up, threatening me, implying he's going to dox me, which the implication is that then Antifa punks are going to come and find me. Well, I told him that if any Antifa punks come after me, not only will I dispatch them properly, but I will come up to Philadelphia and find his ass and hold him accountable. He's a pudgy little short piece of shit who he doesn't do any of the dirty work himself. I believe his name's David, but he sends out younger stupid punks who, again, these people are all stooges of the leftist Luciferians who are trying to create discord and divide amongst the American people. So I commend Proud Boys and anybody else who's willing to go out there and stand up against these terrorists, and that's what they are. And Donald Trump has tweeted that it sounds like he's going to explore labeling them as a domestic terror organization, and he should, because I've seen them assault far too many people. They tend to assault people when those people are outnumbered. I've seen them assault elderly people. I've seen them assault underage kids. I've seen them assault all sorts of people. I've seen them assault people by virtue of attending the Deplorable when they came out. And at that time, the DC police were doing nothing. I was very ashamed of their behavior. They had like 50 officers at the Deplorable watching people being beaten by Antifa until people like me stepped in and stopped it. Anyhow, wanted to talk about that domestic terrorist thuggery, and Donald Trump has indicated in his tweets that he may well label them a domestic terror organization, which I think he should. And I think that investigators should start following some money trails, because the money always tells the truth. And you always, of course, follow the money to find out the source of this. And I think if you do, you're going to find out it comes from the George Soros, David Brock crowd in this country. What else we got? What else do we got going on? Well, the Jeffrey Epstein situation has proven everyone virtually in the country is now a conspiracy theorist, which, of course, that phrase was coined by none other than the Mockingbird propagandists at CIA headquarters in Langley, Virginia, who, of course, used that term to marginalize anybody who is wise enough to see the truth. It's funny. Well, looks like that one's all backfiring now, because everyone in the world seems to be a conspiracy theorist and not buying the official story. Well, what I think has happened there is Jeffrey Epstein is alive. That was a white hat false flag operation, and number one, it was designed to I think put the focus on the whole Epstein case, which a lot of focus belongs there. And now you don't see the media talking about Russian collusion. It's like the leftist clowns, they move on from one narrative to the next. And it's clear that it's all orchestrated, because all of a sudden the spigot is off. No more talk of Russian collusion. All of a sudden it's just Trump is a racist. Blah, blah, blah. Never mind, the guy has won awards from minority groups for his work in minority communities, and he's friends with all sorts of people of color. Just all of a sudden, he's this wild, raving, frothy mouth racist, as are all his deplorable supporters. Well, I think Joe Biden's gotten wise, and he's came out. I saw an article in The Hill this morning where he says, excuse me, that there's plenty of good Republicans out there. Which, for the record, stop, Loki. Stop. I don't identify myself as a Republican. Stop! We're close to the dog park, so Loki has a hard time controlling himself when we're close to the dog park. But I think Biden is doing this because their internal polling, I'm sure, is telling them that the American people do not find their strategy of labeling everyone that disagrees with them as white supremacists and white nationalists and racists, blah, blah, blah. Well, again, I'm going to tell you, and I said this 3 months ago, I saw their little white nationalist campaign when it was, I saw the narrative coming out when it was first emerging. You know, a white nationalist is obviously somebody who's Caucasian. Nothing wrong with that, of course. And secondly, a nationalist is somebody who prioritizes the interest of their nation and its citizens. So I'm guilty as charged. It has absolutely zero to do with race. But the leftist strategy is, of course, to morph the term white nationalist, and then that becomes synonymous in the minds of the weak-minded and the easily duped and manipulated. That becomes white supremacist somehow. I mean, these people just love to play with the English language and just change the definition of words. But the fact of the matter is the definition of words matter, okay? So I'm a white nationalist and I'm proud of that, and that has nothing to do with the color of anyone's skin. You know, I don't care what the color of your skin is. I care what the content of your character is. And, you know, a lot of these folks, like I live in a predominantly black area. I'd say within a quarter mile of my house, at least 80% of the folks are black folks. And I tend to get along well with my neighborhoods. I drive through lower income area every day and stop at convenience stores and stuff like that. And a lot of these folks who try to claim that Trump supporters are racist, you know, they live in their little safe spot condos and gated communities. They don't live in predominantly minority neighborhoods, but they are sure quick to judge everyone else and you know, just say that they're racist when they actually themselves are closet racists, have very little interaction with minority folks, and also typically try to categorize minority folks such as black Americans and neatly keep them on their political plantation. So they're the actual racist folks. And then I got in this discussion with this guy, a brief discussion on Twitter, who tried to say, oh yeah, the Republican Party was the Democratic Party of old, the one who founded the KKK and Jim Crow laws and all that. And then all I did is I put up a picture of Senator Robert Byrd, former Grand Master Klansman, getting kissed by Hillary Clinton, who has said, you know, he was her mentor and all this stuff. It's like, don't try to flip-flop that crap onto Republicans, you know. Just take a look at the actual records, folks, if you want to know who the true racists in this country are. And I think you'll find that it's the left who thinks that they can pigeonhole and categorize people by the color of their skin and then control them accordingly. Anyways, I'm here at the dog park, so I'm going to run. Just wanted to jump on here and talk about that. Everything is unfolding nicely. Daily Mail, major UK newspapers now calling for the full investigation of Prince Andrew and his involvement with Jeffrey Epstein. I've seen pictures of him at Epstein's condominium. He's been to Epstein's Island, and he knew him for years. So it looks like Prince Andrew's gonna come under some serious scrutiny that British royals, so-called royals, aren't used to being scrutinized to that degree. Well, here it comes, Prince Andrew. And that's what happens when you're out having sex with kids, okay? That's what happens, and that's what you deserve to happen. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys later. Have a great day. I love y'all. Bye.